Hello everybody, I am Abdul Wajid and today I'm going to talk about 5 theories of media and communication starting with semiotics. Now, semiotics is the study of science, and to study science we have to understand two things. One is a signifier and a signified. Signifier is basically the representation of an object that is to be identified, and signified is the object itself. Now, to understand about science we have to know that there are three different types of science: symbol, index and icon. An example of symbol would be a play pause button. Like, we don't know what are these. They are not physically same to the signified, but over time we have learned what do they mean. The second is icon, which physically resembles the signified. For example, as this is a cigarette, which resembles actual cigarette. And the third is index, where the signifier and signified, these two complement each other. One cannot exist without the other. For example, a smoke and a fire. And now when we perceive a signified object, we can perceive it in two ways: connotative way and a denotative way. Denotative way is the literal way, like for example the dictionary meaning. For example, a dog. The dictionary meaning of a dog is a four-legged animal. But in a connotative way is how we perceive that, how we interpret it with our own minds. Like for a dog, we will say it's a good pet, a good companion for a human. We will even say it's a man's best friend. Now, done with semiotics, let's move to the next one: rhetorics, which is the art of persuasive language, basically used by the speakers or writers to convince their audience to do or to think of something. A good example should be a politician delivering some speech to get votes from the people of a country. Now, to understand rhetorics, we should talk about the rhetorical triangle that includes three elements: a triangle, which have firstly a speaker who delivers the message, secondly the purpose, the message, and thirdly the audience who receive the message. Now, for using rhetorics, there are three different major tactics you call the rhetorical appeals. One is ethos, the next is logos, and the third is pathos. So, ethos, logos, and pathos, these are four different appeals used for rhetoric theory. The first ethos is used with the writer or the speaker who they will see if they are credible, if they are dependable. The second is logos, which is more about the logical argument, which is used with the purpose of the message. We see if it is logically correct using data and researches. And the third is pathos, which is an emotional approach, which considers the values and beliefs of people, of the audience, as seen in this triangle, which is a more complete rhetorical triangle. Now, there are 5 canons of rhetorics which needs to be talked about in order to understand how rhetoric works. The first one is invention, that is the construction of an argument, what is need to be talked about. The second one is arrangement, the ordering of material of the argument. The third one is style, which is the selection of language, the clarity, the appropriateness of what is to be delivered, the message. The fourth one is delivery itself, how natural it is. And the fifth one is memory, how clearly you remember while you deliver a speech. Now, my third theory is the uses and gratification theory, which states that how we use the media, not how media affects us. Because an active audience plays an important role in choosing and using media in their daily lives. There are 4 key reasons that we use media, which are firstly, information from the media, different information from different parts of the world. The second one is personal identity. Using media, we know more about ourselves, more about our values. The third one is integration and social interaction, which tells us where we stand in the society, what are our social roles. And the fourth one is very obvious, for entertainment purposes. There are more concepts of use and gratification, which are interactivity. The first, which explains the amount of choices given to audience of the media and the amount of effort given by the individuals to access information. The second is demassification, which tells about the control of an individual over a medium. And the third is asynchronity, which tells us how the audience can send, receive, save, or retrieve data at their own convenience. Use and gratification theory divides audiences in 3 types. The first one is a spectator who only watches the media, doesn't do much about it or anything with it. The second one is participant, the ones who follow the one they admire. They follow particularly same things. For example, someone, a fan of geographic person thing, they follow them, they travel to different places and check out for themselves. And the third audience is fan, which comes from the word fanatic. Exactly, fanatic, which means they are crazy about the people who they admire. They will do anything for them. And my fourth theory is the theory of identity by Stuart Hall. Identity by name. It is about people knowing who they are, what is unique about them, what differentiates them from others. Different significant sources of identity can be a person's gender, their nationality, their sexuality, their class. Now, identity is differentiated in two types. Social identity. Personal identity is how a person think about himself or herself, and social identity is how the society perceives them. An example could be society perceives a person as a female, but that person thinks of herself as a man trapped inside a woman's body. Now, so they might not necessarily match. The traditional view of identity is that identity is relatively stable. It is widely spread and it depends on maybe just one or two factors like nationality and class. Know more about identity, we have to talk about two concepts: modernism and postmodernism. By the name it goes, modernism is a belief that modern approach is more of a thing. That future is more important, the future development is more important in the present. But postmodernism says it is not quite sure of what this progress shall bring, of what the difficulties, the dangers this progress will bring. It emphasizes more on the individual's identity. The postmodernism concept argues that people create their own identities actively. They can change their identities through different consumption, for example, like shopping. They can change their identity that way. Now, because of this, there are fractural identities of an individual, which means that there is no sense of stable identity of a person. They don't have a single unified concept of who they are, where they belong, and what actually is their identity. The last theory I'm going to talk about is the audience reception theory, which is by Stuart Hall, about encoding and decoding. The procedure goes as: a sender, the producer of a message, will encode a particular message, which might be a text or a visual or an audio message, and that will be decoded by a particular receiver who is the consumer. Now, here's another type of audience that can be seen, which is the prosumer, who consumes from a producer and then reproduces that in some other ways and becomes a producer. A good example of it could be a fan fictions. Now, while decoding, a message can be decoded in two ways. One is denotative, the other is connotative. Denotative is exactly the exact meaning; it is what it is, and connotative is the perspective deduction of an individual. Now, the audience in this theory are classified in three different types according to the way they decode. First is dominant hegemony, who decodes as it is encoded. Then the negotiated hegemony, who decodes partially to how it was encoded. They don't believe it all; they believe it partially. And the last one is the oppositional hegemony, who do not agree at all, who decodes in exactly the opposite way the message was encoded. A good example of it would be the song "The Linkin Park." In the end, it doesn't even matter. That's the main verse of this song. Now, a dominant hegemony audience would decode it as it is encoded. They would think, yes, whatever we do, how much hard work we do, in the end, it won't matter. Nothing would matter. Negotiated hegemony audience will think that, yeah, it's partially true that maybe we will get what's in our way, but still we need to work hard. And an oppositional hegemony audience will think, no, it doesn't all fall on destiny. We have to work hard no matter what, and then we will get a result in the end. Now, that's all from me, and if you have any queries, please feel free to comment below, and thank you. Sayonara.